Welcome to Diaries of the MZ Generation, where we discuss Korean culture and music. This is episode 1. I'm your host, Ellis Tan, and today we'll be going over a little recap of 2024. Joining me is my friend and other host or co-host, Justin Lee. How are you doing?
What's up? Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you too. It's great that we are able to get this started, our inaugural episode. Been thinking about trying to do a podcast for a while. I just didn't know how I wanted to do it, how exactly I'd get it structured. And Justin and I had a little back and forth about how we would do things within the last few weeks, and with the new year, just said hey, let's just start it up and see how it goes.
Yeah, I think the timing actually worked out perfectly with how we ended up planning things, and now we're starting first week of 2025, first week of January, and I think that plays very well to things we're gonna get into later on.
Right, exactly. First week, fresh new year, fresh start, fresh endeavor, a new venture for us to hopefully get it going and hopefully produce some interesting content for the listeners, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So since it's the first episode, I did want to do a little bit of introductions, just like who I am or who we are, and something really simple that I thought is what's something that every K-pop fan can relate to? It's what generation of K-pop did you start listening to, right? That's a very K-pop thing, and who got you into K-pop?
Yeah, I think that's a good basis for just to start. I feel everything else you need to know about us, you'll learn throughout the year, throughout the episodes.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody, whether it's second gen, third gen, there's a lot of people who got into third gen through Blackpink or Twice, or fourth gen with Idol or ITZY, or fifth gen now with To Us or Islet even.
Gosh.
Yeah. So for me personally, I am kind of old. I started listening to K-pop when I was not even 10 years old. Or actually I was about 10 years old. Dating myself a little bit, but I started listening to K-pop in first gen K-pop fan here, and my first K-pop group was a group called Pinkle, and back then they just made acronyms for everything, kind of like our show, and they just made acronyms for everything, and then made a meaning for the acronym, right? So Pinkle, FIN.K.L, stood for Fine Killing Liberty. Or Finn Killing Liberty. Yeah, so Finnish Killing Liberty. So it didn't really make a lot of sense back then, but that was K-pop in first gen. How about you, Justin?
Oh, first of all, you know what? I just realized I never thought to look what it was an acronym for.
Yeah, it's Finn Killing Liberty. Finn,
just called
Finnish.
Finkel,
yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
There's HOT and SES.
Yeah.
Even Shinhwa, I think, might have meant something. But yeah,
man, the name of our podcast makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
the conception of it just makes a lot of sense now.
That was
considering
one of the reasons. There's multiple reasons for the naming of this podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, how about you, Justin? What got you into K-pop?
So I started getting into it second gen. So, but it wasn't my first exposure to K-pop. My first exposure to K-pop was my friends, older siblings would be watching variety shows or listening to Super Junior, and we would make fun of them. We were just little kids. I don't know. We would make fun of them. But then in middle school, I heard probably every guy my age. I heard, and I can't remember exactly which one it was. It was Big Bang and 21. So I really can't remember which one came first. It was either Taeyang's Wedding Dress or 21's Let's Go Party.
This is the most typical 2008, 2009.
Right. And I had that Taeyang haircut, dude.
Oh boy.
I had that. But I credit when I say it, I say Big Bang is the one who got me into K-pop. So yeah, that was probably 2009, 2010. So it's been probably 15 years now, man. Oh my gosh.
Nice. And do you remember who your first bias was?
Yeah, it was CL.
Ooh, from 21.
Yeah, it's from 21. She was very like serious and fierce on stage, and then I would watch her behind the scenes, and she was just completely different.
Yeah, it's so
That was my first.
it's
The
fun.
duality was
Yeah,
crazy to me.
and I think her like nickname is like the baddest female, CL.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's a good
But
one.
then she's like so cute, like backstage, and I just thought it was hilarious. So I think she was my first bias.
Nice.
What about yours?
For me, it was Sung Yuri from Finkel because I mentioned that Finkel is the one
Yeah.
that got me into K-pop.
Yes.
Yeah, I was a really big fan of hers when I was a kid. So yeah, Sung Yuri, first gen. Okay, so I feel like that's been a little bit enough about us. I'm sure as we record more episodes, more tidbits and information about us will get through. But
For sure.
I do want to try to keep these episodes relatively short, or I guess for some people it could be long, but I just want to try to keep it tidy. And so we'll get straight into our topic here. And I wanted to, starting off the new year, what easier topic to talk about than going over and recapping the previous year? We just started 2025. It's a great way to reflect, or great time to reflect onto 2024. And, the easiest thing that we can discuss is just talking about K-pop songs. K-pop songs and our favorite K-pop songs of 2024. So Justin,
That is not easy.
Justin and I have put together a very short list, top 3
Roughly.
of our favorite
Yeah.
K-pop songs of 2024. And I know Justin, it was probably excruciating for him because he listens to a ton of music. I listen to a lot of music too, but he probably listens even a little bit more than me. But I kind of
Really? I don't know.
I've kind of had my top 3 locked in for like a greater part of the year. So it wasn't too difficult for me, but it sounds like you had
Yeah.
kind of a rough time.
I had a rough time. I had a. So before we started this, I asked Ellis, like, hey, do you have honorable mentions? Because I have a lot of honorable mentions and just exceptions or whatever. But here's the thing you guys are gonna learn. If you're gonna make me rank things and make a list and do it, I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna do my best to cheat the system and try to get everything I want to get in as best as possible. So
Hey, you're a man of the
I
people.
apologize.
I think the majority of people would want to cheat, especially on a list like this.
Ugh.
At least it's not 2023 because I
know.
feel like 2023 had an insane year of comebacks and debuts, but 2024.
I was gonna say 2023 would be hard as well. I feel like 2021, 2022, we would have had a very brief, like just very nice and tight conversation.
Yeah, so 2024, I mean, there was definitely a lot to get into. So let's get started. How we'll do it is we'll start with number 3 and work our way towards number 1. So Justin and I will each give our number 3s, and maybe we'll have a brief discussion on it. So starting with number 3. So honestly, my top 3 has kind of been locked in, but the order is a little bit difficult for me. So
Okay.
even though I say top 3, it's my top 3 right now, but it might change slightly as I continue to make my top 100 songs of 2024 playlist. So number 3
Yes.
for me is New Jeans, How Sweet.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
New Jeans is my second favorite girl group at the moment.
Ooh.
So, and like as far as plays, like my top plays are all Stacy and New Jeans, almost all.
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of on the fence about including like Supernatural and Right Now because technically they were released for Japan, right? But when you listen to the music, it's actually like a combination of English, Japanese, and Korean. There's barely any Japanese, honestly, in those Japanese releases. So,
Yeah.
but if we were to include those Japanese songs, I would probably, getting into some of the honorable mentions now, I'd probably say Supernatural.
Please. Okay.
Yeah. So for number 3, it's either New Jeans Right Now or New Jeans Supernatural.
Okay. Over How Sweet.
What did I say? Oh, Right Now? No. Right. Sorry. I meant New Jeans How Sweet or New Jeans Supernatural.
okay.
I mean, honestly, like all 4 songs are like really neck and neck for me.
Yeah.
But I would say the out of the Japanese releases, the one I preferred was Supernatural, and out of the Korean
Okay.
releases, the one I preferred was How Sweet. But
Yeah.
I did prefer both Japanese releases over both Korean releases.
Let me ask you this. So, just How Sweet in particular, is that a song you liked first, right off the bat? Because I like that song. I really like that song, but I feel like it grew on me.
So I'm a big New Jeans fan, and when I first listened to Bubblegum, that was the one where I had to like let it grow on me a little bit because they've had such strong releases in the last 2 years, and for them to come out with Bubblegum, it was a little bit of a different vibe. But when they got to How
Yeah.
Sweet, it was like because How Sweet came out like 3 weeks after, if I remember correctly, and at the time I was still a little bit on the fence on Bubblegum. But when How Sweet came out, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for.
Yeah. Okay.
How about you? What's your number three?
Okay. So, before I get to number three, okay, I'm gonna let me set something up. Okay. The only way I can do this and stay sane, there's two things I excluded from my top three. One I'll tell you later. I'll tell you guys later, so I won't spoil it. And the other one is I excluded Stacy stuff because I'm biased, and if it was 2021, I could tell you easily, like stereotype, I would put in my top three. If it was 2022, I would have put Beautiful Monster up there. 2024, I feel like they released so many songs. They released a 14-song full album. They released their ... album. They had their Japanese releases. I love Tell Me Now. So I cannot, you cannot make me pick one song over the other, without me going crazy, right? So maybe Flexing on My Ex, because that's a very special song for reasons I'm sure we'll get to in the future. But I'm excluding the Stacy songs. There's one more thing I excluded. I'll tell you guys that later on. So number three. Okay, so I'm going to do this. You had like 4 songs in your number 3 spot. Okay.
I mean, I guess so.
Okay, so I'm going to do 2. I could not pick between these two, so I just put them both at number 3. One is Nectar by The Boys, right?
Ooh.
This song has been in my top 3 since it came out. So I didn't want to leave it out. I don't know. It's just the type of song I love. It's upbeat, but it's got this sad, melancholy undertone, sprinkles of hope. I don't know how to describe it. It just hit the right chords with me. And then the other one is Pretty Mob by CSR.
Oh, wow.
CSR. Yeah, right? And it's not a song I thought of my top 3 throughout the year, but every time it comes on, I love it. I absolutely love it. They didn't release CSR, you guys may or may not know, they didn't release much in 2024, but man, I listen to music based on my mood, but this song I can play anytime. And that doesn't come very often, so I feel at the end when I was going through the song, I was like, I think I have to add this song. It's a special song. I love this song.
Okay.
So
wow.
Nectar by The Boys, Pretty Mob by CSR.
Definitely starting off the top 3 list. Very interesting. Like, I'm probably like super basic listening to your number 3 now.
My next 2 probably more basic.
Okay. All right. And you were saying like excluding Stacy is like, yeah, I was thinking like, if you had to include Stacy, the top 3 might become all Stacy. So a good call on that one. Honestly,
dude, if you look at my Spotify, the top listened to ones are Stacy.
Yeah, like,
and I'll say why when we get later into this podcast, but yeah.
Yeah, me too. Like, I think like I said earlier, all my top tracks are like New Jeans and Stacy. But for me, when I
Exactly,
think of
dude.
like top 3 K-pop songs, it's kind of a combination. Even like when I make my top 100 playlist, I usually take a lot of factors into consideration. I don't just choose my favorite songs, my personal favorite songs. I also think about like the production quality, the charting in Korea,
Really?
like how well it charted in Korea, and also there's just like so many songs in K-pop. Like if you include all the B-sides, like it would just be impossible to listen to everything, because there are boy groups and girl groups, the title tracks and the B-sides. So I do personally limit it to like promoted songs that have been promoted through like music
I
shows
see.
or through music
Gotcha.
videos, things of that nature.
See, you'll love this because I would go at it completely different. I would just go at it whatever. It's just me. So
I think that's what
if I
most
would
people
I would
do.
like relate it to like a list of movies, right? If I was making my favorite movies, I wouldn't really take maybe like the top ones, but like I wouldn't really take. I would just take what I thought of it into consideration. So I wouldn't take like box office into consideration. So on the music side, I wouldn't take charting in. But that's not. It's not like one way is better than the other. That's just
Yeah. No, it's just every person.
Yeah.
I think most people, when they put together their top songs, it's something along the lines of how you put it together. But for me personally, I like to think of it as when I make my playlist, or when I choose my top songs, I like it's like 75% like the songs that I like, but then it's like 15% of 15% of it is like charting reasons, and then like the last 10% is like I feel like these songs should be on the list just because of how good they are, even though I don't
Yeah.
personally resonate with it. I know a lot of people do, and it's just like I
Oh,
do
really?
understand that
Okay.
this is a great song and it's worthy of being in the top 100, in my personal top 100, because when I listen to K-pop, I listen to it as a whole, as an industry. I don't like listening to the same artists over and over again. I like listening to all
Yeah.
the artists, or as
Same.
many artists as I can listen to. And like NCT, I'm not a huge fan of NCT, but I really like NCT's songs. So I don't
Yeah.
necessarily go out of my way to listen to NCT music, but I know that NCT songs chart, and I know that their fans really like their music. So I will go listen into it, and based on how much I like it, I'll put it on my chart, for example.
Yeah. So yeah, same. I mean, like just for example, my number 3, Nectar by the Boys. The Boys is not. It's not a group I follow so intently, but it's songs like this that like motivate me to listen as much as I can, because I'm afraid I'll be missing out of songs like this. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. So those
Great
are
song.
the number three so far. So I had New Jeans.
Technically.
I'm gonna stick with How Sweet, but I did want to preface. I did want to mention, like honorable mention the other
Yeah,
New
that
Jeans
one's.
songs.
Yeah.
And you had The Boys Nectar and
Pretty Mob
CSR.
by CSR. Yeah.
Right. So moving on to number two. My number two song, and I have a few friends who will definitely be hyped up by this one. Promise Nine with Supersonic.
Supersonic. Okay. Beautiful.
Supersonic. Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, Supersonic. So I wouldn't say Promise Nine is not even in my top 5 favorite girl groups, K-pop girl
Yeah.
groups. But I've always loved their music, especially since Feel Good.
Yes, same.
So after Feel Good, Secret Code came out, like that was the first song where Promise Nine kind of changed their sound a little bit. They kind of went from
Yes.
a more bubblegum poppy sound to the
Like Love Bomb,
sound
yeah.
that we have today, where they went from Feel Good to We Go into Talk and
Yes.
Talk, and then after that was like DM, Stay This Way, Me Now, and then now Supersonic.
See, this is one of those things where we are on the same frequency.
Yeah.
Like from Feel Good on. Oh,
It was-
I love their songs.
It was an incredible run, and unfortunately, their contract has ended. But I don't think this is the end for Promise Nine. But
Really? Okay.
I will say that this song, it's definitely up there for me as far as Promise Nine songs. And
Yeah.
one of the things, one of my favorite memories with this song is watching the comeback performances, and the fans, the Flovers, are so hyped up to promote their girls, especially after
Yeah.
the some of the controversies and issues that they've had, especially like not just recent but also dating back to before Feel Good, right? So
Yeah.
I think a lot of Flovers had kind of an idea that this might be their last track, at least for the foreseeable future. And
Right.
they really came to the music shows hyped up. The fan chants were insane. Personally, I thought the choreography was really fun, and
Same.
the song, the lyrics, everything about the production, it just was a really good track. And it was also really popular in Korea, just like general for the general public, which was
Yeah.
interesting to see because for me personally, I think my favorite Promise Nine track is either DM or We Go. But in Korea, I think like Supersonic, We Go, and like Love Bomb are like some of their most popular tracks.
I mean, talk and talk is what got them their music show win.
Yeah, that was their first music show win, but I think it's kind of a like, hey, We Go was so good, but we weren't able to
Yeah.
get a win because people didn't actually like realize how good it was until they were finished promoting it. And then Talk and Talk,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
came out just a few months after, was kind of like, hey, we gotta support these girls. So, I personally, I love Talk and Talk. Talk and Talk, like the
I
lyrics,
love talk and talk,
the
man.
lyrics for that song are so
Oh,
sweet, and like it's actually my ringtone. I have like Talk and Talk has been my
really?
ringtone since like 2022 or 2021.
No way.
Yeah. So
What part?
that part.
Okay. Just
I
yeah,
have
yeah.
the I have like one of those modified versions of the song. This to sound like an
Yeah.
iPhone ringtone, but in the
Oh,
Talk and
that's
Talk
cool.
melody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love talking talk. Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, number two, Supersonic, just everything about the song, the concept, the promotion, the production, the choreography, the lyrics. It was hard to take. Like usually, I like Promise Nine wouldn't be in my top 10. I don't think I've ever had a Promise Nine in my top 10 since they debuted, but this song for me was just like not just the song, but like the feelings associated with the song.
Yeah.
Kind of propels it into the top three category for me.
Yeah, that's a good one. Dang, top number two, Supersonic.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. That's not a basic pick at all.
Oh, okay.
All right, so my number two, I promised that I didn't promise, but I said it wouldn't be a basic pick. I don't think it's okay. We'll see. So I think 2024 arguably was aespa's year, right? One of their, if not their biggest year, maybe. And they had Armageddon, they had Supernova, they had Whiplash, just like hit after hit. But to me, none of those come close to one of their B-sides, Live My Life.
Oh.
This song, again, I feel like I'm describing it the same way I described Nectar. It's upbeat, it's kind of sad undertone underneath, a little bit of hopefulness. I don't, maybe that's just something that resonates with me. Shout out to one of our friends, Shin. I played this in the car while he was in the car, and I guess he hadn't heard it at that point, but it became one of his most listened to songs of 2024. And for me, this song in particular, I figured this song is one of those that will, for me, transcend 2024. So it's going to be a song that I listen to beyond just this year. I don't know how many songs this year I can say that about, but I feel like this one is kind of a for sure. I love that song, yeah.
Yeah, so aespa had an incredible run this year. And,
Crazy.
like for me, like aespa is probably like my third favorite girl group, actually. Every year it's been like, wow, can it get any better than this? And
Yeah.
they've continued that run through 2024 and hopefully into 2025, where it's just, I feel like every song conceptually and production wise has been just like better than the last. I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's hard to say that as well because like Savage, Next Level, Black Mamba, like
yeah.
their first songs were kind of like these are such great songs, and I feel like nostalgia wise it has a kind of leg up in that way. But the songs this year were just absolutely incredible, and their album this year, just like every track was like no skip, banger after banger, and
It was really good.
definitely, and they came out with like a music video for every song. Definitely one of my favorites this year.
Like, I don't know if I would have been exposed to Live My Life if the music video didn't come out. That's that's when I heard it, when the music video came out. So I am thankful that I don't think it was the whole song, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
But regardless,
man.
like all those songs were music video worthy. So I am glad that they did come out with a music video for all those tracks. And Yeah, I think it won like a day song or two, maybe more, for that
Yeah,
album.
for sure. I think so.
Oh, so that actually perfectly leads up to my number one. So again,
Really?
number two for me was Promise Nine, Supersonic, and number two for you was what was it?
Live My Life by aespa.
Right. So my number one track, we're up to number one now. It's aespa's Supernova.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, cool. So
I mean, that's a great song.
there's a few things about this pick that makes me like a little bit similar to the New Jeans situation where
Okay.
I really had a difficult time picking between Supernova, Armageddon, and Whiplash
Whiplash? Yeah.
because in each of their own ways, I think one song is better than the other. But the impact of Supernova is undeniable. The amount of like how viral Supernova went is absolutely insane to me. And it was not just like an instant hit, I think either. I feel like it was a little bit polarizing when it first came out.
You know who felt mixed on it?
No?
Karina.
Oh yeah, I mean the girls
Have you
they
seen?
were they
I
were
loved it.
completely
She's
off
like,
put by
I thought it was all over the place at first.
yeah, a lot of the girls were. I mean, all the aespa members were like really surprised on how much the song took off. But when
Yeah,
like
yeah.
personally for me, when I first listened to it, I was like 100% on board, 110% on board. I was already like, wow,
Oh
this could be
wow.
song of the year.
Yeah.
I was like, this song is amazing. And I think it was reflected by the charting and all
Yeah,
like
for
the
sure.
dancing, the challenges, the just the general public on TV shows, etc., etc. Just how popular the song became. I think like as far as like a lot of the award shows, Supernova like won a lot of awards. So I really
I think by the end of the year, super everyone the debate was either Supernova or Rose's APT, but
right.
I think Supernova was definitely always in the conversation.
So for Supernova, I felt like I have to give it number one for a lot of reasons because if I can't decide between the top three, like the easiest kind of tipping point would be just like how the public felt about the songs.
Okay.
For me personally.
Yeah.
So I will say my number one is aespa's Supernova. But again, I had mentioned so like for Armageddon, I personally think Armageddon is a better produced song. I think it's lyrically and production wise, I think Armageddon is a better song. And personally for me, I do feel I like Armageddon more than Supernova.
So do I. Yeah.
But
Same.
and then for Whiplash, I actually think Whiplash is a better catchy song. You know, like Supernova was catchy because of the break towards the end. But I feel like Whiplash is like catchy throughout the entire song. And it's not just the song, but like the dance is so fun and catchy and incredible. I really like Whiplash in those aspects. I think where Whiplash kind of falls a little bit behind the other two songs is the lyrics are not as
Okay.
interesting for me as Supernova and Armageddon. So again, like I said, I love all three songs so much, but each song kind of has like
Their own strengths and weaknesses.
yeah, strengths and weaknesses, something over the other. And I think again, like the tipping point, I think for me is just that Supernova with the dance, the virality. I don't know how to what word.
Yeah,
For that.
virality. Yeah.
And just like how popular it is for the general public, that kind of tips it over for me to be the number one song for me this year in 2024.
Hey, wow. I don't think you're alone. You are not alone in that at all.
So how about for you?
So for my number one, I think my number one, you could predict it from how I introduced myself. Number one for me was actually here. In the beginning, I said I had like two like caveats, right? I excluded Stacy songs, and the other thing I excluded was Home Sweet Home. I could very well have put that in one of my top three spots, but I didn't. I wanted to make this more interesting, so I excluded Home Sweet Home so that I could put Power by G Dragon as number one. 2024 Return of G Dragon. It's just a song I could not stop playing the moment I heard it. I think the real life things he put in the lyrics, the performance of it, the outfits, the meaning he kind of sneaks into the things. And it's a song. It really motivates me when I need it. It's actually a really motivating song. And GD's return with Power to me was perfection. It surpassed even my hopes and expectations. And I cannot tell you how many times I've watched Big Bang's mom performance. And a lot of it is due to Power. Finally seeing him perform that live. Finally seeing him perform live for the first time in forever. So number one is Power by G Dragon.
So maybe you should explain Home Sweet Home.
So Home Sweet Home is technically a G Dragon song featuring Taeyang and Taeyang and Daesung. So the two members. It was originally a Big Bang song, a song they produced for the group, but they retooled it to be a GD song since he was coming back, and they wanted something else big before Mama. If you watch the behind the scenes, you can see them like break down this thought process. That song is more like it's kind of like a group song. It's also like a GD song. I think the album cover for it is brilliant. It's Home Sweet Home, right? So you got 3 piano keys for the 3 members. They're shaped like houses for home. It's good. So I excluded that one just so I won't have like 2 GD Big Bang songs up here. But I picked Power because that's the one. I think that's the one that I really want to put at number one.
Power is actually gonna be one of my like honorable mentions or other songs that didn't make it to the top 3.
Yeah.
So I kind of had a feeling that you might lean that way, just because I already knew that you were a Big Bang fan from the start.
Yeah.
So Home Sweet Home. So Big Bang, for those of you listening who are not aware, Big Bang debuted in I believe 2007, maybe 2006. Just going off of my memory, originally with 5 members. Yeah, so 5 members originally. Now they are down to 3, and this is the 3 members. G Dragon, the leader. It's his song, but he features the other 2 members on it, Taeyang and Daesung. So that was Home Sweet Home, and yeah, those 2 songs. I absolutely love those 2 songs as well. So yeah. Incredible. So number 1 for me again was aespa's Supernova, and for you was G Dragon's Power. Is that right?
Power. Yep.
Great. So so those have been our personal top 3 songs. I did want to make a note of Melon. At the time of this recording, just released today the 100 most streamed songs in Korea in 2024, and number 3 is no surprise, aespa Supernova.
Makes sense.
Number 2 is G Idol or Yoja Idol or Idol for the fans. Fate, which is a little bit surprising for me.
Really? That totally makes sense.
But yeah, if you were following the Korean scene, there's a variety of factors that it is number 2. And then number 1 was To Us with Plot Twist.
That makes sense, but number 1 that's crazy.
Number 1,
I know that song was super popular, but that being number 1 that's crazy.
Yeah, so number 1, To Us, Plot Twist. I actually really love this song. As soon as it came out, like it was on repeat for me. And To Us, for those of you unaware, is the new boy group debuted this year with that song Plot Twist. They are the little brothers of 17 under Playlist, which is under Hybe.
Yep.
And they've been kind of the big hit this year. And
it's been a great debut year for them.
Yeah. So To Us's Plot Twist is actually one of my other honorable mentions for the other songs that I really wanted to discuss a little bit, because I do think it is probably one of the best boy group debuts that I can think of. I mean, there's so many.
I think especially in recent times.
Yeah.
When everyone's talking about like the girl group boom.
Yeah, like it could be a little bit of recency bias, but I really like the lyrics for the song are so good. Just like the dance, Everything about it. I don't really know anything about To Us, but I know I love this song. And it is a little bit surprising that it's at number one, but I think part of the reason why Fate, Idol's Fate, and To Us's Plot Twist are so high is because those two songs came out in like January of this year. So they had the full 12 months to really pick up
Right.
those streaming numbers. Whereas with Supernova, I think that came out like either March or April. So a little bit less time. And also, like, there's a lot of other really great songs like G Dragon's Power or Rosé's Apate that came out, but they came out so late at the end
Very
of the
late in the
year,
year, yeah.
that it wasn't able to pick up enough streams to reach the top three.
Yeah.
So
You know, you brought up a good point about Fate. You were surprised by it. And I was like, oh, it makes sense. But then you brought a good point. That might have been just because it went viral mostly in Korea. I don't know how many international fans would pull this song out when they think of Idol.
I don't know how many international fans would even put this song in like a top 10. Maybe not even like in a
don't
top
know.
30.
Yeah.
But this song was so popular in Korea because of the lyrics.
Yeah.
And also the production. Like whenever Soyeon does a rock type of production, it's really taken off.
Yeah.
And like a Queen Card or Tomboy and then Fate, it's just been like that sound has been very popular, and which even led to like QWER popularity.
Yeah.
And
I think
Soyeon even wrote a song for
Soyeon's-
them, which
Soyeon's
took off.
instincts are like incredible. I think if I'm remembering correctly, she wanted Fate to be the title track. It didn't go that way, but I guess it didn't matter
Yeah.
because it found success anyways.
Yeah, so I think for international fans, I think Wife was a lot more popular.
Yeah.
But Fate, I definitely like because of how long it was on the chart for 2024, just since January. Or it might have been like the first week of February. I can't remember exactly when the second album came out. But it is definitely a factor with the number of streams. But it's still a great song. I love it. Yeah, those are our top three. So my number one is aespa's Supernova. Number two is Promise Nine with Supersonic. And number three is New Jeans with How Sweet. And what was your top three?
My number 3 was The Boys Nectar / CSR's Pretty Mob. Number 2 was Live My Life by aespa. And number 1 was Power by G Dragon.
Nice. Great list, I think. I think we did a good job there.
Very diverse.
Yeah. So, do you have any other songs that you wanted to throw in a mention? I already mentioned the two songs that I wanted to mention, which was the GD song and the To Us song.
You don't have any other honorable mentions?
I mean, there's a
Before
ton.
I
Like
go?
if I really wanted to get into everything, it's like Le Seraphim's Smart or IU's album this year, BB Bamyang
Yeah,
Gang.
no, keep going, bro.
Yeah, I've Heya, or even Haciendo. I mean, it's just like like Kiss of Life.
Yeah.
Day 6 had an incredible year. Rise.
Oh, yes.
I can just keep going on and on, but we only have so much time.
Yeah.
So do you have any other
Yeah.
songs that
I'll
you
just-
specifically wanted to mention?
I'll just quickly go through, right? So, Shooting Star by Kepler. I think that's my favorite title track of theirs now.
It is for me.
And then their B-side Problem, I loved it even more than that. So the reason I want to mention it is I feel like my top 3 Kepler songs, 2 of them were released in 2024.
Yeah.
A very controversial one I found out, I think, is Le Seraphim. My favorite title track is Easy.
Wait,
I like the vibe. I love the vibe of that track.
controversial how?
I feel like a lot of people either wouldn't say that or they did not like that song. I don't know. Maybe that's just anecdotal, but Triple S, I don't know. I think it's going to be very hard for Triple S to release a song that I like more than Girls Never Die. It's a perfect song, just introducing all 24 members together. Dream by Baby Monster, that's a song I was waiting for since their last evaluation show.
So real quick, you mentioned the Triple S song. So the Triple S song, "Girls Never Die," was in my top 10, my personal top 10 for a majority of the year.
Really?
Yeah, I really love that song. I think the lyrics for that song are
sounds so
incredible.
good.
I think it's definitely one of the
Yes.
best Triple S songs. Maybe right behind "Girls Capitalism." which is probably my favorite Triple
yeah.
S song.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that song. Let's see. Dream by Baby Monster. I Got You is one of my favorite Twice releases in the last few years.
Wow.
Let's see. I think Young Posse had a great year. The 1-2 punch with XXL and then Ate That. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I think kicked off their career really well. I want to mention Ugi's solo debut. Not just her title track, but Could It Be?
Oh man, yeah.
Was a song I've been waiting for since she performed it on tour in 2023.
Right.
And it was everything I hoped it would be.
I agree. I love that. Those two songs.
Yeah.
Freak, by the way, for those of you who are
Freak.
who
Yes,
didn't know,
title track Freak.
it's Uki's Freak. Yep.
I'm just gonna Rose's trilogy of songs, APT, number one girl, Toxic Till the End. I think she shined this year. For me, I can't get enough of those songs. And then I'm gonna do one more, Distraction by Alexa, good Oklahoma girl.
Gotta shout out the homegirl.
But I not just that. I'm genuinely a fan of the music she puts out.
I am too.
You know, songs like Distraction makes me proud to be that she's from Oklahoma. So, and last two, I want to mention these last two because these two songs were in my top 3 for, I'm going to say like 3/4 of this year. So if we did this podcast just a couple months earlier, this would have been a much easier conversation. And it's surprising. It's it's Superpower by Lunate. It's like a new boy group. And then Want You Back by 7us, which is a boy group. They're like a duo. So it's those two songs were in my, like, hovering around my top 3, top 5 for very much of 2024 until we got toward the last quarter of the year. But yeah, those 83 songs are my top 3 of 2024.
Man, now that I just started listening specific songs individually, I do want to list a few more.
Dude, please.
So
please.
Stacy's GPT, I personally freaking love that song. And I feel like we, like, as a couple of Stacy ults, we need to mention Stacy at least a few times during the show.
Oh, we will. I will. Don't worry.
Yeah. So that Stacy's GPT, you know, not to mention their entire album, was like so good.
Yes.
Like probably my favorite album of
So
the year.
good.
No bias, of course.
Same. Same. No bias.
Groovy Rooms, Yes or No, featuring Hyun Jin of Le Seraphim. Definitely one of my top songs this year. Jay Park came out with an album, which was really good. I enjoyed that one a lot.
Yes.
Another song that I really loved and surprisingly didn't get a lot of accolades was ENHYPEN's XO.
Oh.
Yeah.
I like that song.
I really loved that song. Seeing it at KCON live, just like so fun.
Just hearing the crowd do the stutter.
Exactly. Really loved that song. Definitely one of my top boy group songs of this year. Tap by Taeyong. That's just a really catchy song. And like, again, like I had mentioned earlier, I'm not like a big NCT fan, but you know, I know Taeyong, and I actually saw him perform this live in Korea when I was there. And Tap, great song. I really like that song. Man, yeah, I mean, we could just keep going, but
we could keep going.
This show would end up being like 3 hours long. So yeah, and those are a bunch of other songs from 2024 that we really enjoyed. Oh, I mean, one more.
One more, go ahead.
So I mentioned all the Rise songs, but Lee Young-ji with Small Girl. Yeah, Lee Young-ji with Small Girl featuring Dio from EXO.
Dio, yeah. Where they kiss.
Yeah, I think that's one of the top songs of this year. I don't know where I would put it, but it's definitely in the top 30, maybe in the top 20 for me.
Yeah. I'll throw in one more. We talked about ENHYPEN. You said EXO. For me, it was Fatal Trouble. It's also a song we heard at KCON, and so I'm gonna throw that in there.
Okay. Yeah, great. Oh, you also mentioned. I did want to throw in. You mentioned Kepler. With Shooting Star, that is also my favorite Kepler song now, and I think it was just an incredible direction that they went in after all things were said and done, and here's to more Kepler in 2025 after the renewal of their agreement. Yeah,
hopefully.
Okay, so those have been our 2024 top 3 tracks for K-pop. I want to get into a brief discussion on finish off our 2024 recap. Do you have any memorable moments from 2024 that you want to discuss briefly? Something that happened in 2024 that is K-pop related and you feel is like unforgettable perhaps even life-changing moments that have
Yeah.
happened within this last year?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I am gonna preface this. I'm gonna try to make a promise to the listeners, to regular listeners, that I'm gonna try my best not to make every episode something about Stacy. Ellis mentioned, a couple of Stacy ults here, so it would be very easy for us to do so. But the way Ellis structured this episode, it has to come out now. So we might as well get it out the way. You asked for the like a very memorable moment of 2024, and I feel like going through all the photos and everything, the most memorable moments of this year all have to do with Stacy. Now, first of all, we went to Singapore. We traveled to Singapore to watch Stacy in concert.
Both of our
And
first
not
times
only that,
in Singapore.
huh?
Both of our
It
first
was our
times in
first
Singapore.
time in Singapore. Just to set it up a little bit, this was after October in 2023, we just finished the Teen Fresh tour, and we're reminiscing, and one of us, I'm just gonna say it was you, was like, what if we go to Singapore?
Yeah, it was me.
Because they were going to Asia in the beginning of 2024.
I'll take the blame.
Somehow it happened. The stars aligned. We not only did we see Stacy in Singapore, we saw IVE in Malaysia one day after, one country away. I just think I think it's cool that K-pop connected us and then brought us all of us to Singapore, Malaysia, traveling the world, seeing these things. Unbelievable trip, even beyond those concerts. You know what I mean? And then the other one,
Just real quick,
actually,
Singapore and
Yeah.
Kuala Lumpur, amazing cities. Love those cities. Can't wait to go back.
I love it, dude. I miss it, man. So humid, but I miss it. And I feel like the next one might overlap with you. I feel like that one could have overlapped with yours. I'm not sure what yours is, but I feel like we would have some overlapping ones. And I'll just say this one, and if it overlaps with yours, I'll let you take it away, okay? The other one is the weekend of KCON LA. And not KCON itself, that entire weekend. Do you have that as yours too? As one of them?
So these are moments, plural. I feel like it's gonna be hard to just pick one, but yeah, those two that you mentioned are definitely in my list.
So Ellis and I, both of us, got lucky enough to win spots at a Stacy fan sign, right? So that takes place on Friday.
The Friday of KCON, yep.
Ellis, the Friday of KCON. So like Friday was going to be the fan sign. We have this little dance. We somehow signed up just in time. Thank you, Ellis. We signed up just in time for this little dance event with Stacy. Not sure what that entails. And then you got KCON weekend. So the fan sign, that's what we're kind of focusing on. But it was the dance event that same Friday that I think will go down as one of the most memorable things we will ever do with Stacy. Just like, I don't know, I have a hard time describing it to people. If you think about how much money people spend for a 1-minute fan call, or a photo or a Polaroid or a chance at a concert just for them to notice you and give you, reciprocate one heart back to you. This dance thing was basically 1 hour just chilling with Stacy. There was no camera on them. They're not hyper focused on you because, during a fan sign, they're very focused on you for a good reason. They know you have this 1 minute, right? And it's not easy to get in front of them for 1 minute. So they're hyper focused on you for your sake. During this dance thing, there are no cameras around. There's nothing. They're very relaxed. We're trying to relax. So it was like the most intimate experience. I don't know what else we could do that will rival this, but I'm hoping there will be. And then you had KCON weekend. That's a whole other story. It's 3 days of seeing Stacy and other artists. The weekend was punctuated at the very end, the very last day. Stacy, throughout the weekend, they've seen us. They've seen us multiple times at their stages, their interviews, or whatever they're doing, their red carpets. They see us, right? But at the concert on the last day, you're now in an arena with 10, 15, maybe 20,000 people, 20,000 fans of all the artists that are there. So I don't think they expected to see us. But at the very end, they spot us. They are excited. They are telling each other, they are recording us with the cameras that they have. They're jumping up and down. It's magical weekend. Absolutely magical weekend. If you put out everything into perspective, you lay out everything in front of you, I think 2024, it's going to be a hard year to beat when it comes to our experiences with Stacey. And you Ellis, you have even more on top of this just yourself. So I can't wait to hear what your list is.
Yeah, the top moment for me has to be the Stacey dance thing, as you mentioned. So the Stacey dance thing was a dance workshop where the Korean Culture Center of Los Angeles hosted this event with Stacey. And they had like a sign up period like 2 weeks before. I had a friend who kind of like in the industry in LA kind of told me that about the sign up. And yeah, I was able to sign up and get a bunch of friends to sign up, including Justin. Essentially, it was a dance workshop where they would teach us dance moves. And so for this particular workshop, we learned Cheeky Icy Thing and Stay With Me. We essentially had half an hour of just like conversing with the members of Stacey. Like we were divided into groups of 6, which Justin was lucky enough to have his group merged, and he was able to speak to 2 of the members. And I was speaking with Isa, and Justin was with Shiyun and Sumin.
Yes, sir.
The Unni line. Yeah,
Yes,
so
sir.
it was just an incredible time, talking with the girls. And like, I'm the only one who can speak Korean in our group, right? So I'm just like having a back and forth with Isa while we're learning the dance, talking about this and that. I know Justin and the guys had a bunch of guys and girls had a bunch of conversations with Sumin and Shiyun, and like part of the joy for me with a lot of these memories is like being with my friends, right? So, like out of that group, there was maybe like 30 people, and like a third of them are like people that I know, right? So that was really fun. But yeah, like that was probably one of the most incredible experiences as a K-pop fan. I mean, like I've had a lot of incredible K-pop experiences in my lifetime. Like I always call myself a very successful K-pop fan because I've been able to do so much. But that is definitely one of the top of my lifetime memories. Just being able to spend time with the Stacey members and learning their dance and dancing with them and performing the dance challenge, and it like got uploaded on their actual Instagram and TikToks and stuff. So that was super cool. Definitely my top moment of 2024.
It's just such a unique experience.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Justin already briefly mentioned when we went to Singapore and Malaysia. That was just an incredible time all around. The traveling, the food, the adventures, like going from the Stacey concert on a Friday in Singapore to rushing, taking a bus to Malaysia to attend the IVE concert the following night on Saturday in Kuala Lumpur. That was a high stress situation.
It went from a very
close
great,
to missing
relaxed,
yeah,
luxuries bus situation to a very stressful
traffic
Uber
taxi.
kind of situation.
Yeah.
Oh.
But shout out to our taxi
Which
driver.
makes the story even better.
Yeah, he kind of knew that we were in a rush. I guess he saw like where we were going, and he like put the pedal to the metal. Maybe that's just how they do it in KL. But yeah, like I think like the ETA told us that we were gonna get there in like half an hour or something. We got there in like 15 minutes. So
I'll tell you exactly. He shaved 7 to 8 minutes off of our ETA. Insane.
yeah, in the KL traffic, it was like rush hour. It was like 4 p.m. in Kuala Lumpur, and we were going from like downtown to the I think it's called the Asiata Arena, something like that. But yeah, that was an incredible experience. Got to see IVE. Got to take Justin to see IVE for the first time. Oh wait, I guess it wasn't his first time, but for the tour.
Oh yeah, KCON,
Yeah. So yeah, that was an incredible moment. But again, we're a bunch of Stacey Oats. I got to see Stacey in Korea right after the Singapore and Malaysia trip for a fan sign, and I got to see Stacey again in Korea for their fifth anniversary, and each
Oh
time
god.
Yoon like specifically thanked me and shouted me out and like thanked me for attending their tour in the US last year. I mean 2 years ago now, or a year and a half ago. And yeah, it's a little bit embarrassing because like all these Korean fans are just looking at me like, who is this guy? Why is Yoon shouting him out? But like
You gotta be put in perspective though. It's not just at both of these events that she shouted him out. And by the way, both of these events, it's not even the first time she shouted him out. Okay, so both of these events that she shouted him out, it's in front of fans sites. It's in front of people, Stacy fans that the Stacy members see all the time. And out of all these faces that she recognizes, that they recognize, they pick out Ellis each of these times. They're like, thank you for being here. That's crazy that you get your. It's like think about it. It blows my mind.
Oh yeah, it's such an incredible feeling. Also, it's a little embarrassing because again, like there's like 30 for the fan sign, so there's like 29 other people, including the girls. 30 to like 29 other people plus the girls, all just like looking at me while Yoon is like, "Oh, thank you," they're shouting me out, and then like everyone like the girls are smiling and whatever, and then like for the fifth anniversary thing, there's like 100 people there, and they're like all looking at me, and then like I'm like, I don't know how many foreigners or non-Korean people were there, but it felt like I was like one of the only three maybe. And yeah, so it was a little embarrassing, and I was like all the way in the back too. Like I was not even sure if they could see me. So like for Yoon to be, for all the girls really to see me, and then for Yoon to shout it out that I was there, that was kind of a crazy moment.
That's so good.
And like kind of not directly happening to me, but another memorable moment was Stacy recorded a interview with SBS, the Seoul broadcasting station, and they specifically like shouted out me and Justin and another one of our friends on like the interview as like one of their most memorable moments from the world tour in 2023. So it didn't directly happen to me, but that was kind of a crazy memory as well for 2024.
Let's dive deeper into that. Do you remember what that interview basically like informed us?
No, tell me.
So the question to the girls was, what's a memorable moment, one of the most memorable moments of the tour? And they basically, they talk about us, that we showed up to all these stops and we had our outfits on, and that they were appreciative of it. And then Yoon goes on and she says, it's crazy because these guys met because of Stacy, and she goes on about how we became friends and stuff. But the only way she knows that is in a letter I wrote to Sumin on the very last day of us being in Singapore, where we did not get any sleep. You did not get any sleep. You were helping us with the letter, packing at the same time. Very gracious with the Korean, helping us with our Korean writing. And we deduced there's no other way they would know this other than reading our letters. So it kind of blew our minds that they do read the letters. And the fact that you knows it, that means they don't just read the letters, they talk about it. And that makes that interview moment that makes everything even more special, to be honest.
Yeah, and like the crazy thing is like Justin and I met through because of Stacy at KCON in Chicago, and continued that friendship, and it's led up to all these incredible
all over
experiences. Yeah, the KCON and then around the world, and now doing this podcast. I mean, it's just been so many great memories. But yeah, like that was the crazy thing, is because Justin wrote that letter in February, and I delivered that at the fan meeting in Korea. He wrote it in Singapore.
Yes.
I delivered it in Korea during the fan meeting in February, and that interview came out like September or something. No, July. I guess
It was before KCON.
Yeah, it was before KCON, right? Because I talked about it with Isa during the dance thing. So
Yes, she's like, do you remember? Oh my god.
yeah, there's so many Stacy moments that were just incredible. And yeah, so aside from the Stacy moments, I did have a few other, like, it's always great to meet artists, especially artists that you have been a fan of for like years or even decades. So again, this year, like it's not necessarily maybe the first time that I had met some of these ladies, but I saw Min from Miss A bunch of times. I mean, I guess
Oh my
she kind of knows
gosh.
who I am. So and she lives in New York now. So I do see her frequently, but it's always great whenever I see Min. She came out with her solo debut this year. I guess it's not really her solo debut. Solo
Yes.
comeback this year. It's a mini album type of situation. It was cool to see her perform that in New York. I got to see Baekyerin again. She's probably my favorite Korean female solo
Really? Did
singer.
not know that.
Yeah, so I've seen her before. She also thankfully I think she remembers who I am and she knows who I am. But I got to see her again on tour this year with the Volunteers, her band, and I got to
Yes.
meet Katie for the first time. So Katie is an R&B singer who was formerly with YG. She's I think she's independent now, and I
Mm.
was a big fan of her since her debut, and I got to finally meet her in New York this year or last year, so 2024, and I got to meet Ailey for the first time.
Oh,
In Philadelphia, she performed at the casino over there, and I got to meet her. And yeah, I obviously been a fan of Ailey since her debut, and
yes.
really cool. I mean, she's
Congrats
a
on the
Jersey girl.
marriage.
She's from the area, but I've never met her until last year. So, or technically
Yeah.
just last month. So yeah, those were some of the top moments for me and Justin. Anything else you wanted to add?
I can't think of anything right now, so.
That's kind of what it is. Like I didn't want to think too hard about like what my memorable moments of 2024 was, because if I thought too
Yeah,
hard
same,
about it,
same.
like how memorable is it actually? So really just wanted to list off all the things like off the top of my head, which is mainly the big Singapore and Malaysia trip in February, and then the KCON and the dance workshop in July, and then anniversary in Korea in November, and a bunch of other small experiences that I had.
It's a great year.
Exactly, 2024. I mean, I don't know.
Great year.
Can 2025 top it? We'll see. We'll
Dude,
see.
I'm trying to think. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be tough, but
Honestly,
we'll
we
see.
ever since 2022, we've always said like,
How
how
could
can
it get
2023 top 2022, and then in 2024, how
There's
can
no way.
2024 top 2023, and then now we're in 2025.
Here we are.
How can 2025 top 2024? We'll see. We'll see. If you keep listening to this podcast, you might find out. So that has been kind of the recap for us for 2024. I want to move on to a segment that we're going to be doing on the show regularly, and it is a segment that Justin actually suggested it, and that segment is 10 years ago today in K-pop.
And it sounds so long ago, but once we start getting into the things that happened 10 years ago, it doesn't seem that far away, like, at all. It seems like those things kind of just happened. It was 2015, right? So,
Yeah. I mean, 2015 was essentially the start of third gen in K-pop.
exactly.
And yeah, 10 years ago today in K-pop was January 2015. And we have a couple of things that we put down here for this week. The first that I want to talk about is SHINee. SHINee's Jonghyun debuted solo on January 7th of 2015 with the song Deja Vu. Do you remember that song at all?
I do.
So Jonghyun came out with Deja Vu, and I was like, when I first listened to that song, I was just like floored. I was like, man, this song is so good. I thought it was just an incredible debut. I like a lot of the SM members of like boy groups and girl groups will do a solo debut, but a lot of them, to be frank, are not really that memorable. But for me,
Yeah.
Jonghyun's solo debut is probably one of the most memorable as far as any SM member who was like part of a boy group or a girl group that debuts solo is probably like one of my most memorable solo debuts. Like maybe up there with like Taeyeon, perhaps. There's not really a lot that I can think of that I'm like, yeah, that was a great solo debut. And yeah, I just wanted to commemorate that. Unfortunately, he's passed on to and hopefully in a better place. But I, just wanted to mention, 10 years ago today, SHINee's Jonghyun debuted with his solo track, Deja Vu, on January 7th.
Yeah, I think it was very significant because Taemin had already debuted his solo album. But to me, and I think, I thought Taemin was one of the coolest guys in K-pop at that time.
He still is.
He still is. He's just like, he's very himself. I love that. But to me, he's more of a performer. You know what I mean? He was a dancer. He could execute all the things you wanted him to execute. When it was time for Jonghyun to debut his solo album, he was more like the artist. So he had his hands in all the songs that came out. he said that this was going to be more like the introspective thing. He was more that style, so that's what I was excited about when he debuted solo. And I loved that. I believe Taemin's album was called Ace, and then so Jonghyun continued that. He called it Face, and then that just kind of started this domino. Then you got Face, and then Voice, and then like Chase, and they all continued that tradition. So I think it was very significant.
Yeah. So the album came out on January 12th, actually. So it's a few days after. That was an incredible album as well. So definitely, again, one of my favorite SM solo debuts. The other thing that happened 10 years ago today was EXID had their first music show win with one of the most incredible comebacks.
Stories.
Yeah, like it's like a, what do they call it? Like shooting up the charts. Like the song had been out for like 8 months already.
It was already out. Their promotions for it had already ended.
Months ago. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then like a fan cam of one of the members, SHINee, went viral.
And you have to understand, at this time, you know, fan cams were around, but they weren't what they are today.
Yeah.
Not just everybody has fan cams going around. You don't have official fan cams going around.
That was kind of the start of fan cams to my memory. Like, I don't remember watching fan cams before that.
So I was going to ask you, like, to me, this is where fan cams kind of started. I don't know. I don't even remember watching any kind of fan cams before that.
I'm sure there were fan cams before that, but I think like after the SHINee one blew up, like people...
It became a thing.
Yeah, it became a thing. It's kind of like when Jiko started the dance challenges on TikTok with his song.
The challenges.
And then now like everybody does it. I feel it's kind of like akin to that. So like, yeah, Up and Down. Up and Down had their first music show win. It was actually the first music show win for EXID on January 8th of 2015, 10 years ago today. And yeah, it was just an incredible story because I was actually a big fan of EXID when they first debuted. I thought they had some great songs leading up to Up and Down. And honestly, when I first heard Up and Down, a Shin Se-dong Tiger track, another person, rest in peace, amazing track. The music video was... you know, a little spicy, a little interesting, but I loved the song. It was such a good song. And, you know, like Ellie's raps, Solji's vocals, it was so good. And I was a really big fan of the song. But, you know, at the time, back then, it was just another K-pop song until it blew up and came back and shot up. They had to go back onto the music shows to promote it again after that win. And it just had an incredible run. And there's only one other song in history that has kind of performed similarly, to my knowledge, which is the Brave Girls Rollin'. Right,
Brave Girls.
Yeah, so that song I think came out like 2018 and it shot up in like 2020 or maybe 2019. I can't remember, but yeah. So EXID, there's just a lot of historical significance, I think, with that particular, just how it won their first number one song.
When you look into the story more, this story it's kind of even crazier. Before this, I kind of looked into it just to kind of remind myself. So, and going through the interviews that they were having, you know, SHINee said at this point in their careers, they were apparently stuck in a very difficult situation. They were at their lowest point. You know, they've come back maybe a couple times and nothing's been happening for them.
I think they were thinking about disbanding.
Yeah, I think they were. It might have been the last time we've seen them, if not for that fan cam, right? So the other thing I wanted to point out was the person who recorded the fan cam. So SHINee said they invited him. She wanted to treat him to like a meal at the very least, right? But according to her, he felt too pressured to do it. So he didn't take the offer. Apparently the company and Shin Se-dong Tiger also like, hey, they invited him out to dinner. And apparently his quote was, "I'm busy. I have other girl groups to record. Let's eat another time." So
what a Chad move.
Fan cams weren't a thing, but he said like he's not only an EXID fan, he shoots videos for several girl groups as a hobby. So fan cams were not a thing at that time, but he was a trailblazer.
Oh, for sure. He still does fan cams.
He was a legend. Does he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he does. Yeah. So that was honestly an incredible moment because if that didn't happen, we wouldn't have all the other EXID hits that had come out after that.
Yeah, which I love.
You know, there's so many songs. Night Rather Than Day, Dol Dol Dol. A few of them were kind of like reiterative, but you know, still really great. And you know, Ellie,
I didn't mind that too much. As long as the song is good, like
I agree.
I'm okay with it.
And like Ellie probably wouldn't have been able to, you know, do the things that she's doing right now, like working with Tri B and stuff like that, if it wasn't for that success.
Yeah. I mean, they even reunited about 2 years ago with Fire. Yep. I love that song.
Yeah, I like that song too.
Yeah, I love their return. just crazy moment in K-pop. 10 years ago this week.
Yep.
Insane.
Yeah, so that has been our first 10 years ago today segment. I think we had a couple of really great ones today.
Yeah, very significant events.
All right, so that has been episode 1 in the books. Wrapped it up, send it. Any closing thoughts before we say goodbye?
No, I mean, I think obviously our conversations are going to roll pretty smoothly most of the time. We've been doing this without microphones and stuff since we met, but I think it'll just get better and better as the year goes on. And we'll have a lot more stories and we'll have a lot more things to draw from as well.
Yeah, thank you again for joining me, Justin. Really appreciate your time and the listeners' time if you've made it this far through the podcast. Once again, thank you. This has been Diaries of the MZ Generation, Episode 1. Today is January 10th, 2025. I've been your host, Ellis Tan, joined by our co-host, Justin Lee. This podcast is part of the Selective Hearing Network. It's produced by Selective Hearing and edited by Ellis Tan and Greg Abisamis. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next time.